Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission, as always, is to take these, well, often complex narratives and really distill them, break them down into knowledge you can actually use.
That's right. And today, we've got something quite special. It's a source text, a deep reflection by Ling Ting. He's the CEO of Lóng Tíng Enterprises.
Yeah, and we're not treating this like your standard business case study, not at all. We're looking at how identity, like deep personal philosophy, gets translated literally character by character into how a global company is structured and operates.
Mr. Ting unpacks the meaning of his name. That's Ling Ting. And he shows how it's less of a personal tag and more like a foundational blueprint.
A blueprint for everything he's built, especially his work in, connecting East and West. It's fascinating stuff.
It really is. And I think what jumps out immediately, what we need to kind of hold on to here, is that this isn't just philosophy influencing strategy. The name is the strategy. It's the methodology.
Name is the methodology.
Okay, so yeah. So our mission today, our deep dive, is to unpack this name, this specific rhythm he talks about. Protection, elevation, awakening, and see it as a practical framework.
A framework for leading, navigating cultural differences, building bridges, really, between tradition and, well, the modern world.
Exactly. Sustainable bridges.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We have to start at the beginning, right? The origin story.
Yeah.
Because how he got the name is, well, it's key.
Absolutely key.
Yeah.
It wasn't given at birth, which is the first unusual thing for many listeners. Probably.
Right. It was given by a Tibetan Buddhist master.
Yeah.
And get this, only after 6 months. 6 months of complete silence.
Yeah, and the context of that timeline, it's critical. We can't just gloss over it. 6 months of silence, mandated stillness, just observing without speaking.
Wow.
It's not a vacation, it's a profound commitment. And in that tradition, when a master gives a name, it's not just a nice gesture.
It's significant.
Hugely significant. It's like a recognition of potential, a kind of spiritual fingerprint taken only after all the usual noise, the ego, the chatter, the justifications has been stripped away by that quiet.
So the name itself carries the energy of that silence, that purified moment.
Precisely. It's imbued with that stillness.
And then what the master actually said when the silence ended, that's just as compelling. He didn't say, okay, this is who you are now.
No. That's the crucial part. He said the name is not who the author is, but it's a mirror.
A mirror.
Yeah, a way to see, to remember who he was meant to become.
That distinction is huge, isn't it? It shifts everything. Yeah. A name isn't just a label you have, it's something you do, an active relationship.
Absolutely, it's dynamic. Which makes you think, what was the master actually watching for during those 6 months?
Right. What did he see?
The source mentions he was observing the internal landscape. How did the author move through the silence? How did he carry it? Did he resist it?
Where did he struggle? Where did he find peace?
Exactly. And where did he finally truly rest inside that stillness? The name was like the distilled essence of all that observation, capturing the truest rhythm, the default state, when you can't perform or explain yourself away.
Like finding the baseline frequency of his being.
That's a good way to put it. The soul's architecture, maybe?
Okay, but here's a point of friction, maybe. 6 months in silence, that's one thing. A profound transformation, sure. But then you have to be a CEO, running a global company. How does that quiet awareness survive the noise, the complexity of the everyday business world? Did the master touch on that?
Yes. That's where the mirror concept becomes practical. The master's instruction connects directly to that challenge. Remember the quote, "This name is not who you are, it is who you are becoming."
Each time you breathe with awareness. Okay.
There it is, the practice. The weight isn't in the characters on a page. It's in the intention behind the breath. The name becomes a daily check-in, a tool for self-correction amidst the chaos.
So it's less I am Ling Ting and more I am practicing being Ling Ting.
Exactly. It's a continuous process, not a fixed state. The source describes it beautifully, the name moving through him quietly, like a current returning to its source.
Wow. Like each breath is a chance to realign with that original observed potential.
Yes, returning to that essential nature seen in the silence. If the master saw the potential, the name is the lifelong instruction manual for realizing it, breath by breath.
That makes the name itself the company's most valuable IP, in a strange way. Not a patent, but this living principle.
You could argue that it's this constant, quiet undercurrent, the opposite of some big, flashy brand launch.
It implies that every time he introduces himself, maybe even just thinks his name, it's kind of diagnostic. Am I aligned? Is the dragon present? Is my mind clear?
That's the potential of it, yes, as a lived practice.
Okay, so let's get into the substance then. The actual teaching embedded in the name, Ling Ting. It's described as a single rhythm, protection, elevation, and awakening.
Right. And rhythm is the key word there. It's not three separate compartments. It's a flow, a cycle, a single coherent operating system.
Like gears meshing together.
Exactly. If one part falters, the whole system loses balance. So we do need to look at them one by one to see how they connect.
Let's start with the first character. Long, the dragon.
Okay. The dragon. Now, the source is really emphatic here. This is not the dragon we usually think of in the West.
Right. Not Smog guarding his gold, not the beast to be slain.
No. This dragon is defined as a guardian of the Dharma. Dharma meaning truth, cosmic law, the right way of living.
That completely reframes the idea of power, doesn't it? Western dragons are often about raw power, maybe chaos, something to be controlled or conquered.
Whereas this dragon is inherently moral, protective. The source also highlights its movement between sky and water.
Consciousness and emotion. So it masters both the abstract, the high-level thinking, and the turbulent, messy stuff of feelings.
That mastery of duality, the intellectual, the emotional, is key to its role as guardian. But here's the really challenging part, especially thinking about business.
What's that?
It's mode of protection. How does it guard the Dharma? Not through control, not through fire or force,
How then?
through compassion.
Okay. Compassion as the primary mode of protection. That raises some immediate practical questions, doesn't it?
Right.
Well, if your main defense is compassion, how does a company like Lóng Tíng Enterprises handle, say, necessary discipline or someone breaking trust? How do you avoid being taken advantage of if your default is compassion?
That's the core tension, and the philosophy embraces it. Protecting through compassion doesn't mean being naive or having no boundaries. It means the first response is to understand the root cause of the problem.
Ah, okay.
The dragon's nature demands integrity, it demands truth, it is a moral guardian.
Mm.
But if someone messes up, if a partner fails, the dragon principle says, first, understand why. Was it incompetence, confusion, bad faith, external pressure?
So you diagnose before you react.
Exactly. The response aims to be restorative if possible, not just punitive. It keeps the focus on relational integrity. You safeguard the system through care, ideally not just through rigid rules enforced by fear. It reframes accountability as potentially leading to mutual growth.
So the dragon holds the ethical container. It guards the truth of the enterprise.
Interesting. Okay, let's move to the second pillar. Ling, to rise.
Ling.
Yes.
Yes, this is described as gliding above the mist, a gentle ascent beyond illusion.
Gentle ascent. That stands out. Not climbing, not striving, not forcing your way up.
Precisely. It's an internal lift, a spiritual kind of elevation. It's about the mind becoming still, gaining clarity. If Long manages the moral compass, Ling manages the perception of reality.
So Ling is about seeing clearly, cutting through the mist. What's the mist in this context?
The mist could be anything that obscures reality. Market noise, short-term thinking, the ego that comes with success, our own biases and assumptions about what's possible or impossible. Okay, so in a business sense, the mist might be chasing quarterly results above all else, following trends blindly, getting caught up in conventional wisdom.
Exactly that. Relying on metrics that look good but hide deeper problems. Ling compels the leadership to constantly seek that higher, clearer view, to rise above the immediate fog.
Which allows for what? Better long-term decisions?
Yes, and more innovative ones. It's the principle that might drive Lóng Tíng Enterprises to invest in something that doesn't have obvious short-term payoff, but aligns with a deeper truth or need, pushing for real progress, not just chasing the current economic illusions.
And you can't really practice the dragon's compassion effectively if your mind is clouded by that mist, can you?
You absolutely cannot. If you're acting out of illusion or fear, it's not true compassion.
Yeah.
So clarity, Ling, is the necessary condition for Long's compassionate protection.
It all connects. Okay, that brings us to the third pillar, the pulse. Ting, the thunder.
The thunder. Described as the sudden sound of insight. But crucially, not anger, not destructive noise, it's the sound of remembrance.
Remembrance. Interesting. Tell me more about that.
Think about thunder. It's sudden, powerful, undeniable. But it's also ephemeral. It passes quickly. That's the nature of this insight. It's a transformative pulse that awakens truth.
Like a wake-up call.
A profound one. It carries the message that everything can change, maybe must change, in a single moment of awareness, a single breath. If the 6 months of silence set the stage, Ting is the sound of realization finally cutting through all the layers.
And connecting insight with remembrance. What does that imply?
It suggests the insight isn't necessarily learning something brand new from outside. It's more about remembering a fundamental truth you already knew deep down, but had forgotten or ignored, something obscured by the mist that Ling works to clear.
Like reconnecting with core principles.
Yes. So within the enterprise, Ting functions as the catalyst for radical honesty. It's that sudden, unavoidable moment when the organization sees a deep flaw, or realizes it has strayed from its values, or maybe glimpses a completely new strategic path it hadn't considered.
And because thunder is quick, the implication is you have to act on that insight fast, before the clarity fades.
That seems to be the idea. You need the ongoing practice of Ling, the rising clarity, so that when Ting, the thunder of insight, strikes, the organization is actually ready to receive the message and make the necessary shift.
So the loop becomes clearer. Long protects the ethical space, Ling cultivates the clear vision to operate within it, and Ting provides the sudden corrective pulse, the awakening, that keeps the whole cycle dynamic and true.
You've got it. Protection, elevation, awakening. A continuous reinforcing loop.
Okay, this is fascinating conceptually. Now, how does this translate? How does this philosophical rhythm become the actual practical heartbeat of a business? The source says it shapes everything: leading, listening, creating space.
Right, this is where the rubber meets the road. It required conscious choices about structure and culture. The author is very clear. Lóng Tíng Enterprises defines itself as much by what it rejects as by what it embraces.
What does it reject?
It explicitly rejects hierarchy, the typical top-down command structure, and instead, it aims for harmony.
Harmony instead of hierarchy, okay.
And it rejects control mechanisms, systems built on oversight and enforcement, and instead, it cultivates connection.
Harmony and connection over hierarchy and control. Let's dig into harmony replacing hierarchy. How does that work practically? Hierarchies usually exist for a reason, right? To manage complexity, ensure accountability.
They do. But the alternative here seems to be based on shared awareness and distributed responsibility. This sounds like the practical application of Ling, the rising clarity across the organization.
So everyone needs to be above the mist.
To a degree, yes. Harmony suggests decision-making might be more fluid, decentralized. Authority might emerge based on the needs of a specific project or situation, not just a fixed job title.
That sounds challenging. It must require immense trust.
Immense trust and clarity of purpose, which links back to Long the Dragon. If everyone within the enterprise is encouraged to be a guardian of the Dharma, to protect the integrity of the work and the relationships, maybe the need for rigid, top-down supervision decreases.
It implies a radically different way of hiring and developing people. You're not just looking for skills. You need deep alignment with this philosophical core.
Absolutely. You're hiring for character and awareness as much as competence, and the commitment to connection over control that really shows up in their stated areas of work.
Which are?
Leadership education, creative collaboration, intercultural dialogue. These aren't just random markets they entered. They feel like direct expressions of the company's DNA, the act of building bridges.
Let's try applying the three forces, Long, Ling, Ting, to one of those areas.
Yeah.
Say intercultural collaboration. How'd that work?
Okay, good example. So first, Long the Dragon, protecting. In an intercultural project, Long ensures the integrity of the partnership itself, meaning it safeguards the authenticity of both cultural perspectives involved. Lóng Tíng would have a duty, under this principle, to ensure neither viewpoint gets steamrolled or diluted, just to make things easier or more commercially palatable.
Protecting the truth of each side.
Yes, and the compassion aspect means the structure of the partnership itself should be equitable, respectful, fair. The dragon acts as the ethical filter.
Got it. Okay, then Ling, the rising, transcending. How does that apply?
Ling provides the elevated vision. It pushes the collaboration beyond just, say, adapting a Western product for an Eastern market or vice versa. It lifts the thinking above the mist of cultural assumptions or stereotypes.
To create something new.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
To create a kind of third space, a collaboration that genuinely transcends the limitations of the originating cultures, generating something richer. It's about lifting the shared vision to that higher, clearer plane.
Makes sense. And finally, Ting, the thunder, awakening in this intercultural context.
King is the mechanism for dealing with the inevitable friction. Because intercultural work is hard. Misunderstandings happen. Values clash.
So thunder strikes.
Metaphorically, yes.
Huh?
King demands that sudden, honest insight when things go off track. It forces the team to confront the misunderstanding, the compromise, the point of friction directly and transparently, No sweeping it under the rug.
Because that awareness is where transformation begins.
Exactly. It prevents politeness from masking real problems. It forces the necessary, sometimes uncomfortable awakening to keep the collaboration healthy and moving forward. It allows for radical corrective pivots.
Wow. When you lay it out like that, the whole enterprise feels alive. Like it's constantly adjusting, recalibrating based on these principles, always in a state of becoming, just like the author's relationship with his name.
I think that's the core idea. It can't just rest on past achievements because Ting, the thunder, could bring a necessary wake-up call at any moment. Success isn't just financial. It's about maintaining the integrity of this philosophical rhythm.
And failure isn't just losing money. It's a failure of practice, a deviation from the principles.
Precisely. The financials become almost a lagging indicator of how well the philosophical system is being practiced.
Which brings us beautifully to the big synthesis, the core metaphor they use. Building bridges versus building walls. The mission, as stated, is not building walls of influence, but bridges of presence.
Yes. This distinction is critical.
Let's unpack that. Influence versus presence. Influence often implies, well, leverage, doesn't it? Trying to get someone to do what you want, building your power base. That can naturally lead to walls defining your territory versus theirs.
Exactly. Influence often seeks to change the other. Presence, on the other hand, presence is about being fully there. It's an act of attention, maybe even vulnerability.
Being humbly attentive, as the source puts it.
Yes, and that's much harder work than building a wall. Walls are definite, they separate. Bridges. Bridges require ongoing effort, maintenance, trust from both sides to even cross them. They connect rather than divide.
So when Lóng Tíng Enterprises talks about building bridges of presence, they're fundamentally changing the goal of interaction. It's not about winning or controlling.
No, it's about creating a space for shared existence. A pathway where difference isn't a problem to be solved, but a reality to be met with respect. The source lists the outcomes. Dialogue breathes. Difference becomes connection.
And tomorrow takes root in respect. Let's linger on that middle one, difference becoming connection. How does mere presence make that happen, especially when differences can be so deep, culturally or politically?
Well, think about it. True presence, listening without an agenda, operating from that long principle of compassion and integrity, signals safety.
Safety.
Yes, it communicates to the other person or group that they don't need to be defensive about their difference. They can bring their authentic self, their culture, their perspective to the interaction because the bridge is built on respect, not on the hidden agenda of trying to convert or leverage them. That's how trust forms, and trust is the foundation for difference to become connection, not conflict.
That resonates with the listener feedback mentioned in the source. Someone called this distinction walls of influence versus bridges of presence, a masterclass in modern leadership.
It's a powerful quote, and it highlights the idea that followed. True authority isn't domination. It's the intentional act of connection.
Which completely flips the script on traditional ideas of authority, doesn't it? We usually think authority is about power over others, the power to command.
Right. But this philosophy suggests true, sustainable authority actually comes from the resilience, the trust, the depth of relationship that's built through this consistent practice of presence.
And that connects all the way back to the beginning, the name being a mirror for becoming. Leadership isn't putting on a show of strength. It's not about the title on the door.
No, it's the art, the practice of being deeply, humbly present.
It boils down leadership to something simpler yet harder, an ongoing daily practice.
Yes. The source offers that beautiful equation. To lead is to listen. That requires Ling's clarity. To connect is to care. That's Long's compassion. And to rise, both personally and collectively, is to remember that the air we breathe is shared.
Shared air. That's Ting's awakening, isn't it? The fundamental interconnectedness.
It has to be. It's the ultimate realization that underpins the whole thing. Lóng Tíng Enterprises can't thrive in a vacuum. Its health is tied to the health of its partners, its communities, the cultures it engages with. That's why the name, Chuk, isn't just personal, it's an invitation.
An invitation to practice this way of walking between worlds.
A disciplined way, yes.
What an incredible journey. From 6 months of silence to a global business philosophy, we've really unpacked how this name acts as, well, multiple things at once. A personal mirror, a daily practice prompt, and the architectural blueprint for an entire organization.
All built on that core rhythm.
Yeah.
Protection, elevation, awakening. Lóng, Ling, Ting.
And the ultimate vision, as you mentioned, isn't just a successful company.
No. The source suggests something much bigger. A global movement of presence. fostering conversations that can breathe across cultures, making the enterprise itself a living bridge between East and West.
It really redefines what leadership could look like in the future. Less about control, more about connection. Less about influence, more about presence.
Profound, humble presence, cultivated through discipline.
So as we wrap up, maybe we can leave our listeners with a thought, something to reflect on in their own lives, their own work.
Yes. Consider your own name, or maybe a title you hold, a role you play. If that was your philosophical blueprint, what would it be telling you? What's the core rhythm it points towards?
What kind of enterprise, big or small, personal or professional, would you build based on that inner blueprint?
Try seeing your own identity not as fixed, but as an active teaching. And ask yourself regularly, are my actions today building walls of influence? Or am I putting in the harder, more rewarding work of building bridges of presence?
That, perhaps, is the real measure. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it gave you much to think about, and we look forward to connecting with you again soon.